So you can settle in, maybe sitting cross-legged, sitting in Sukhasana, sitting in Siddhasana with one foot in front of the other. Give ourselves a moment to arrive in this space. You can feel free to close your eyes if that feels good to you. You can leave your eyes open if that feels better. Just take a moment to feel where we are. You can sense the support beneath you. You can sense the space around you. Feeling the air on your skin. Starting to feel the flow of your breath. Just noticing it first. And then directing your breath. Maybe a light touch of your tongue behind your top two front teeth. A slight lowering of your chin, a slight lifting of your palate. Finding your way into your Ujjayi Pranayama. Let's think about breathing up and down the length of your spine. Almost as if there were a conduit for breath along the front of your spine. We can create a little extension on the inhalation. We can create a sense of grounding on the exhalation. And with that sense of extension and grounding, let's add some movement. So with your next inhalation, you can reach your arms up and overhead. And as you exhale, take a gentle twist to your right. Belly will turn, ribs will turn, chest and shoulders will turn. You can look over your right shoulder. Give an inhale to unwind. When you exhale, take the twist to the other side. And inhale to unwind, moving side to side, twisting with the rhythm of your own breath. Might be a little faster than mine, it might be a little slower. Next time you find a twist to the right, pause in that twist. So we'll twist to the right, and then turn your head and let your chin drop towards your left shoulder. You're rolling your right shoulder back. Chin is dropping towards left shoulder. You're getting a little length in the right side of your neck. We can inhale to unwind. As you exhale, take the twist around to the left. And this time you'll turn your head to the right. Let your chin drop towards your right shoulder as you roll your left shoulder back. You can inhale and unwind. Let's take arms up and overhead. Interlace your fingers now. Palms can come together. And we'll start to circle out wrists. You guys probably more than me, but you can circle your wrists a little bit. Circling around one way, circling around the other. And finally, you can give your fingers a wiggle, shake out your hands. We'll rock forward. You can come to hands and knees. And let's press back now to Anahatasana, heart chakra pose. So you'll bring your knees right underneath your hips. You can walk your hands out almost as if you're about to do downward facing dog. And then you can melt your heart down towards the floor. And maybe your chin touches down, maybe your forehead touches down. We'll settle in here for a few breaths. You can start to feel some expansion underneath your collarbones, some expansion along the length of your breastbone, some expansion in your upper back. Beautiful. We'll take one more exhalation here. And as you inhale, rock back up to your hands and knees. And we'll slide now left arm under the right, over towards the right side of your mat. So you can come down onto left shoulder, back of left hand, left ear, maybe press a little into your right hand. When you inhale, you can unwind that twist, and we'll switch sides. The left arm will extend. You can thread your right arm underneath. Threading your right arm underneath and over to the left side of your mat. And finally, you'll unwind there. Place your hands under your shoulders. Headed back to downward facing dog. Take your time. We can use an inhalation to get some length along the front of our spine. Hug the belly in as you exhale. You'll tuck your toes, float your knees, press back. Extend, and then we can find a little twisting action in the hips here. So you can bend one knee and let that knee drop across to the opposite side of your body. Twisting a little in your hips, twisting a little in your waist. Beautiful. Eventually you can settle into your downward facing dog. Just kind of hang out there for a few breaths. Pressing into the pads of your fingers, nice and broad across your shoulders and chest. It might be really interesting here to lift your heels. Lift your heels way up. Yeah, tip your sitting bones up. Beautiful. Now drop your heels with a sense of lengthening in the back of your legs, but your sitting bones stay just as high as they just were. Gorgeous. Try 2 more breaths in your downward facing dog. And from downward dog, you'll start to move your feet forward towards your hands. Give you a nice slow stroll. You can roll heel to toe. We'll find a full forward fold at the end of the next exhalation. And then bend your knees a little bit. In fact, bend your left knee a lot. And swing your right arm up and out to the right. And you can switch sides. You'll bend your right knee a lot as the left leg straightens a little more. Sweep your left arm up. We can do this a few times, switching side to side. And eventually, when you've twisted an equal number of times to each side, come back to the center, hang down into your forward fold for 2 more breaths. You can let your chin release to the hollow at the top of your breastbone, let your neck get a little long, maybe even tuck your chin slightly so you're really lengthening in the back body. And you'll softly bend your knees as you inhale, come all the way up to standing. We'll extend arms up overhead. And with an exhalation, part your hands, keep your knees a little bit bent. Twist to the right. Left hand reaches forward, right hand reaches back. You'll inhale through center. As you exhale, twist to the left. Left hand reaches back as right hand reaches forward. Twisting side to side now. One more time to the right. One more time to the left. We'll come back through center and with an exhalation, dive forward for Uttanasana. You can inhale and lift, lengthen halfway up. Plant your hands, take your feet back to plank pose and lower. Maybe you come down to chaturanga. Maybe you come down to your knees. Maybe like me, you come all the way down to your belly. When you inhale, find a back bend that you can hold for a few breaths. I'm going to start in my Sphinx pose, grounding forearms, grounding feet, rolling shoulders back. This could be your pose. You could choose to float your elbows. You could choose to move to upward facing dog, floating your knees and thighs too. Taking one more breath in the back bend. Exhale to lower, plant your hands under your shoulders, lift yourself up to hands and knees, and exhale back to downward facing dog. In your downward facing dog this time, see if you can root down through your right hand and take your left hand off the mat. Left hand lifts off the mat. Beautiful. It might be helpful to step your feet a little wider than your hips. Consider now reaching your left hand under your body over towards your right side. Maybe your right ribs, your right hip, your right knee, your right calf, maybe even your right ankle. Beautiful. Beautiful and strong in that left shoulder. Beautiful and strong in that right shoulder. Take one more exhalation here. Inhale to unwind. Plant your left hand and reach your right hand underneath. So right hand will lift. You'll reach under somewhere on the left side of your body. Your hip, your waist, your knee, your calf, your ankle. Staying strong in the left shoulder. Outer edge of left shoulder blade is firm on the outside of your rib cage. Beautiful. A little extra challenge here in Reno with this light breeze. Beautiful. You can inhale, unwind, place your hands on the floor. Take one more breath here. Your next inhalation, lift your right foot. Right foot lifts straight up and back. As you exhale, shift forward. You'll place your right foot between your hands and lower your left knee to the mat. So when you inhale, walk your way up into the low lunge. You can reach your hands up towards the ceiling. You might even bend your right elbow, support the base of your skull, and reach even more with your left hand. We'll take one more inhalation here. Let your torso lift upright. Now, release your right hand down towards the floor beside you, side bending. You're reaching right hand down, left hand up and over, intensifying the stretch here. As you inhale, you can reach both hands back up overhead. We'll exhale, take hands down to the mat, tuck your back toes, step back to plank, and lower through your vinyasa. Maybe to your knees, maybe to chaturanga, maybe to your belly. You can inhale, upward dog or cobra. Exhale, back to downward facing dog. And from your downward facing dog, you'll lift your left foot straight up and back. When you exhale, shift forward, a left foot will come between your hands, right knee lowers to the mat. Let's pick it up, low lunge. And you can bend your left elbow, support the base of your skull, reach through your elbow, reach through your right hand. Next inhalation will take your torso upright. As you exhale, find that slight side bend, starting to reach left hand down towards the mat, right arm really extending. You can inhale, lift your torso upright. We'll exhale, hands down to the mat, tuck your back toes, and flow through your vinyasa. Step back to plank and chaturanga, upward facing dog. Exhale to downward facing dog. Steady breath in downward facing dog. And at the end of your next exhalation, you can bend your knees and look forward. Move your feet to your hands, walking or stepping or floating. Half forward fold. Find a full forward fold with the exhalation. You can inhale, rise all the way up, knees just a little bit bent. As you exhale, take your twist to the right. Well, inhale, unwind. Exhale, take your twist to the left. Inhale, unwind, exhale, and fold Uttanasana. You can inhale and lift halfway up. Let your hands step or float back through your vinyasa. Not often I do a helicopter in my yoga classes. You inhale through upward facing dog. Exhale to downward facing dog. Although there was that one time teaching from home where it was chickens and a train. So I don't know, maybe the chickens were kind of a nice backdrop. I liked the chickens. We'll settle into downward dog for 2 more steady breaths. And this time you can inhale and lift your right foot and stack your hips. Take your right hip over your left, you'll bend your knee, start to draw your heel towards your left hip. Check in with the strength of both arms. Check in with your rib cage. There's a tendency for it to want to kind of jut forward. Hug it in. Take one more breath here. When you exhale, square your hips. Hug your right knee into your chest and hold it there. 3-legged plank. Nice. Inhale. You'll
and for both others, standing.
You'll shift forward, 3-legged plank, and now place your right foot between your hands. So place the right foot between your hands. You can lower your left knee down to the mat. Let's inhale, take both arms up. Exhale, you'll bring your hands to your heart. Take an inhalation here. Remember that sense of length we were creating in our opening seated posture. Breathing along the length of your spine and now rotating around that axis for breath. Twist it around to the right. You can even tuck your left elbow to the outside of your right knee. You can stay here if you'd like to challenge your balance a little. Try tucking your left toes, lift your left knee. Nice, looks like everyone's got the left knee lifted, so let's add on here. We'll try extending arms. Reach your right hand up and left hand down. All right, your next mission, should you choose to accept it, keep your balance. Reach through your left leg, reach through your right arm, pick it up to the balancing twisted lunge. There it is, nice work. Exhale, you can reach for the floor. Step back through Vinyasa. Back to Chaturanga and upward facing dog. Exhale to downward facing dog. Catch your breath. Steadiness and ease. Sthira Sukham Asana. Nice. Your next inhalation will lift your left foot. You can take it straight up and back. And then stack your hips, left hip over right. Try bending your knee. Strong in both shoulders, long in both sides of your waist. One more breath here. When you exhale, you'll square your hips, shift forward, hug your left knee into your chest and hold it there. Beautiful. Inhale, press back. Exhale, shift forward, knee into your chest. Place your left foot between your hands. You can slide right knee down to the mat. Let's inhale and reach up. Exhale, hands can come to your heart and you'll twist. We'll take right elbow now to outside of left knee. You can use your breath here. Central axis for breath lengthens your spine, and as you exhale, you can rotate around that central axis. Consider tucking your back toes, lifting your back knee. Consider extending your arms. Staying with your breath. Now, moving into the balance, reach up with your left hand, ground through your left foot. Pick yourself up. Twisting the lunge. You can inhale, unwind your twist. Exhale, flow through your vinyasa. Back to chaturanga. And upward facing dog. And downward facing dog. Settling into your breath here. 2 slow, steady breaths in downward facing dog. And at the end of your next exhalation, you can bend your knees and look forward. You'll move your feet to your hands. You can find a half forward fold. Find your full forward fold. Inhale, we'll rise all the way up. And exhale to release your arms down by your sides. Now, if your feet are not touching, step them together. Inner edges of your feet will touch. We want maybe a little space between our ankle bones, but bases of big toes, inner heels are touching. And we'll bend our knees for Utkatasana. Ankles flex, knees bend, hips flex. You can reach down, you can reach up. Let's find the chair pose. One more big breath here. As you exhale, take your hands down to your hearts. We'll inhale, finding that central axis for breath. Again, lengthen your spine. Exhale, twist right, but don't hook your elbow yet. So you can turn belly and ribs and chest and shoulders. Use your core. Deepen your squat. Twist again. Don't hook your elbow yet. Deepen your squat. Twist again now. Left elbow hooks right knee. Left hand could reach down. Right hand could reach up. Nice. We can bring palms back together. Inhale to unwind your twists. Same thing other side, rotating and pause. Deepen your squat, rotate a little farther and pause. Deepen your squat, rotate a little farther. Now hook right elbow to left knee and reach. You can exhale, bring your palms back together. Inhale, unwind, Utkatasana. Exhale and fold, Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Inhale, you'll lift halfway up. Plant your hands, step or float, and you're headed back through Vinyasa. Upward dog on your in-breath. Downward dog on your out breath. Pause. You can inhale and lift your right foot. Stack your hips, bend your knee. If you feel like you have the space to work with and you'd like to flip this over, you can flip it right over into Wild Thing. Nice job. If you flipped it into the Wild Thing, flip it back. Take a breath in three-legged down dog. And as you exhale, you'll shift forward, right foot between your hands. Reaching through left heel. Inhale for the high lunge. Exhale to twist. You're taking left elbow to outside of right knee. You can reach left hand down, reach right hand up. And then reach up through your right hand, pick up your torso. Left hand reaching forward, right hand reaching back. One more exhalation here as you inhale, unwind, and then pivot all the way to face the back of your mat. Left toes point to the back of your mat. Right heel angles to the front of your mat. Trinken to the left, triangle pose. So you'll take your left hand to rest somewhere on your left calf. Rotate your ribs around, and right arm can reach up. Beautiful. As you inhale, reach up through your right hand. You can pivot back to face the front of your mat and flow through your vinyasa. If you'd like to take ekapada, that is leaving your right foot off the floor through the vinyasa, you could do that. Oh, so strong, everyone. This is amazing. Lovely. Meeting back in down dog for a full inhalation and a complete exhalation. Your next inhalation lifts your left foot. Take your foot up and back, and you can bend your knees, stack your hips. If you'd like the back bend, you can pivot, flip it over, find your Wild Thing. Nice. And if you slipped into the Wild Thing, flip back. Take one breath. Next exhalation, hugs your left knee into your chest. You can place your foot between your hands. We'll inhale, lift up for a high lunge. And exhale to revolve your high lunge. Right elbow to the outside of left knee. We're powering up right leg. You can reach right hand down, left hand up. And reach up even more with your left hand. Pick your torso up, torso coming to vertical. Right hand is reaching forward, left hand is reaching back. As you inhale, you can unwind the twist. Pivot all the way around to the right. Triangle pose, Trinken towards your right leg. Letting your pelvis tip up and over the head of your right femur. You can take the back of your right hand, maybe to rest on your right inner shin or inner calf. Pressing your hand in as you rotate your ribs around to the left. When you inhale, you'll reach up, come back up to standing. When you exhale, pivot to face the front of your mat. Hands touch down and you'll flow through vinyasa. Feel free to leave your left foot off the floor if that's in your practice. Ekapada vinyasa, one-footed vinyasa. A chance for a reset. That was kind of a long, intense asymmetrical series. So let's settle into down dog for 2 more breaths. And at the end of your next exhalation, you can bend your knees and look forward. Move your feet to your hands. You'll find a half forward fold. Find a full forward fold. Feet are touching. Inhale, Utkatasana. Let's exhale, revolve the chair. Try to hook your left elbow to the outside of your right knee. Turn your gaze down this time. And we'll move into Noose Pose, Pashasana. So we'll start to lower hips towards heels. You may find your heels picking up and off the floor. That's okay. We'll try to keep weight back towards our heels. Lowering down. You might be able to extend your arms. You might be able to bind around your legs. I can't even get close to demonstrating that right now. If you would like a hand balance, Parsvabhakasana, side crow, could happen here. You can bring your hands to the floor, rock over, pick your feet up. Amazing. I'm so envious. It's going to be a while before I get to do this one again. Nice job. If you came to Parsvabhakasana, try to come out in reverse. Back to Pashasana, balancing in your twist. Back to revolved chair. We'll inhale, unwind, Utkatasana. And exhale, twist your chair to the other side. Right elbow to outside of left knee. Turn your gaze down, keep the balance, start to lower your hips. Maybe balancing here. Maybe you find the bind. Maybe you place your hands, rock over, and float your feet off the floor. If you're rocking into Parsvabhakasana, heart is drawing forward, your gaze is lifted. You're looking a couple of feet out in front of you. Yes! Nothing like hopping into a hand balance after 3 months of being stuck at home, is it? Beautiful. Try to come out in reverse. You can bring your feet back. You can unwind your chair. And exhale, stand in mountain pose. We're getting a little hot yoga out here too. Steadiness and ease, right? Sthira Sukham Asanam. Finding the balance between the two. One more big inhalation. One more complete exhalation, feeling your feet beneath you. And you can inhale and reach up. Exhale and fold. We'll inhale, lift halfway. Plant your hands, step or float through Vinyasa. Back to Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Exhale to downward facing dog. Inhale forward to plank. And exhale, count to 5 as you lower slowly and in control all the way down to the mat. Beautiful. All right, forearm plank. Let's see if I can join you for this one. So I'm going to place elbows under shoulders. If you can, turn your palms down to the floor. That's not going to work for one of my arms, but I can do it on one side. We'll tuck toes, hug belly up and in, and lift off the floor. Beautiful. If your feet are not touching, step them together. And let's try to roll outer edge of right foot to the floor while keeping left elbow on the mat. Keep your hips lifted. We're rotating our forearm plank. You can inhale back to center. We'll take the outer edge of the left foot to the floor. Keep your right elbow grounded, twisting your forearm plank. We can inhale back to center and exhale. Lower to your belly. Take your feet wide. You can turn your elbows out to the side. Make a pillow for your head. Rest here. Now let's take right arm out to the side. You want your upper arm parallel to the front edge of your mat. Your forearm parallel to the long edge of your mat. And we'll start to roll a little bit onto the right side. So rolling onto your right ribs, right ear can touch down. You could stack your left knee on top. You could even step your left foot back behind you. You could take your left hand behind you. So what we're looking for here is a stretch in the right side of your chest, right shoulder, maybe even right biceps. And we'll slow things down a little bit. Slow, deep breath here. Somewhere in your next breath or two, you'll roll back towards your belly. Let's take left arm out to the side. Palm will face down. Upper arm is parallel to the front edge of your mat. Forearm is parallel to that long side edge. Then start to roll to your left. Maybe left ribs touch down. Left ear, you could stack your right hip on top. You could step your right foot back behind. Your right arm could come back behind. Finally, we'll roll back to our bellies. You can bring your hands next to your ribs. Help yourself up to hands and knees. Then place your elbows right underneath your shoulders. You might interlace your fingers here. You might press your palms together. Moving into dolphin pose. So press into the little finger side of your wrist. Lift your knees. Maybe walk your feet in. I know there's a few folks, at least in my class here in Reno, that are comfortable in headstand. So if you're comfortable in a headstand, you could take your headstand here. If that is not something that's in your practice, this is probably not the time to learn it. But if you'd like to go right upside down, this is your opportunity. Beautiful. If you're still holding in the dolphin and you would like to walk your feet back and rest your shoulders, this would be a good time for that. If you are holding in the headstand, consider lowering your feet. If you're comfortable in headstand, you could try pausing for a couple of breaths in your half headstand. Lovely. Eventually, we'll all let our feet come back down to the floor. There's some beautiful control going on in the headstands here. We'll find child's pose as our counter pose. So somewhere in the next 3 or 4 breaths, meeting in your favorite version of child's pose and letting go of all of the work of that inversion. Somewhere in your next breath or two, you're going to walk your way up to kneeling or sitting. We'll take right hand down towards the floor. External rotation in your right shoulder. Press your right fingertips down, and then tip your left ear towards your left shoulder. That might be enough stretch. You can stay right there. You could rock your head, chin down to shoulder, and chin up towards the ceiling if that feels good. If you'd like a little more stretch, you could bring your left hand and rest it just behind your right ear. Let the weight of your hand help your neck to open even more. Finally, you'll inhale, release your head back to neutral, left hand reaching down, external rotation, front of your shoulder, drawing that. You can tip right ear towards right shoulder. This might be enough. You could explore an arc with your chin or rolling it down towards your shoulder and then up towards the sky. You could even put your right hand behind your left ear and let the weight of your hand and arm help your neck to stretch a little more. When you inhale, you can release. And let's just let our heads kind of wobble around. Bobblehead pose. Head moving lightly at the top of your neck. Effortless. Any tension disappears. Beautiful. From here, let's shift our hips over to one side. You can take your legs out in front of you. We'll extend that left leg out straight. Now see if you can bring your right foot to the outside of your left hip and stack your knee right on top. Try to work right knee right in on top of left. You can micro bend your left knee if you need to. If you happen to have a towel or a prop, you could slide it underneath there if your left knee is a little uncomfortable. From here, just hinge forward, round forward, and bow over across legs. So maybe it feels good to round forward like this. For some bodies, it might feel better to put your hands behind you and press with fingertips rocking forward. Looking for a stretch across sacrum in outer hips, maybe outer hamstrings, maybe back of left leg, certainly along the length of your spine. And we'll be here for a few breaths. You might allow your breath now to slow down a little bit. We'll take 2 more breaths here. Let these be your deepest, slowest breaths of your entire practice. As you inhale next, Walk your way upright. We'll move into Ardha Matsyendrasana, half Lord of the Fishes pose. We'll take right foot now to the floor, just to the outside of left knee. You can leave your left leg straight if you like. If you prefer, you can tuck your left heel to the outside of your right hip. And we're twisting to the right. So you may end up just hugging your right knee, turning, putting your right hand behind you. For some, you'll be able to put your left elbow to the outside of your right knee. You may turn your left hand to your outer right hip. You might even reach into that window formed by right shin and thigh. Reach your left hand through. Maybe you can clasp to the outside of your left hip. With your next inhalation, you can unwind, unbind. Let's bring hands over to left now. And press into your hands, kind of a gentle counter twist. So pressing into your hands, it's like you're rolling your left shoulder back, your right shoulder forward, maybe look to the left. You can inhale to unwind that twist. Extend your legs out straight and just be here for a moment. Let's take Dandasana and see how that feels. Legs extended, shoulders over hips, base of your skull drawing back. And we'll move a left leg now on top of right. So you can take your left foot to the outside of your right hip. Try to nestle your thighs right in on top of each other. And we'll bow forward. That could mean hands behind you. That could mean hands walking forward. It might mean forehead rounding down towards your shin. Getting opening in the back of your right leg, the outside of your left hip and thigh, across your low back, across your sacrum, and the whole length of your spine. And we'll take 2 more breaths here. The slowest, deepest breaths of your practice. With your next inhalation, you'll walk your way upright. Moving into Ardha Matsyendrasana on the other side. That left foot will now step to the floor, just to the outside of right knee. You can leave your right leg straight, or you could tuck your right heel to the outside of your left hip. It's a personal choice. See what feels best to your knees. We'll inhale, sit tall. Exhale, you're rotating left. Belly and ribs and chest and shoulders. Perhaps you're hugging your left knee with your right arm. Perhaps your right upper arm comes to the outside of left knee. Perhaps right hand finds the outside of left hip. Perhaps you reach your right hand into that window formed by left shin and thigh, and you can clasp hands to the outside of your right hip. Let's take 2 more slow, deep breaths here. Reacquainting yourself with that sense of the breath moving along the front of your spine. You have that central axis for breath, creating length on the inhalation, spiraling around the axis on the exhalation. And as you inhale, you can unbind, unwind, walk your hands around to the right. You can press into your hands. You'll roll your right shoulder back, left shoulder forward, a little twisting gently to the right as a counter pose. And inhale to unwind. You can unfold your legs, extend them out straight. Let's come back to Dandasana, sitting tall. Hands can press into the floor next to you. Heart lifts, chin lowers, base of skull lifts. Take a big breath here. And with your next inhalation, you can take your arms up and overhead. With your exhalation, hinge forward. Hinge at your hips. Maybe reach for your feet or your knees or the floor. Bowing forward to Paschimottanasana, seated forward fold for 3 deep breaths. With an in-breath, you'll help yourself back to sitting upright. Make sure you're centered on your mat now. We'll take a count of about 10 now to roll down onto our backs. So you keep your legs straight, hug your belly in, reach your hands forward, and we'll roll down for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Arriving on your back. And once you find this shape, notice if there are any other movements your body requires to complete your practice. Bridge pose might feel good. A happy baby pose might feel good. It might feel good simply to tuck your shoulder blades underneath you. For those of us who are practicing outside, please feel free to take a t-shirt or a towel and cover your eyes. It's a little bright out here. And somewhere in your next 4 or 5 breaths, you can make your way to your version of Shavasana, whatever feels most comfortable to you. Settling into a place where you can let go of all of the work of this practice. As we continue to rest here, notice where your attention is being drawn. And notice if there's some aspect of your experience here that's especially interesting or especially pleasurable that could become the anchor for your attention. Finding a place to invite yourself back to, should you be drawn away. And now gently disturbing your relaxation as little as possible, expand your breath. Drawing in full inhalations, releasing complete exhalations. And inviting back some movement. Fingers and toes can start to wiggle, arms and legs can reawaken, gradually come back to life. Eventually, you'll roll to one side and spend a few breaths there. Finally, when you're ready to come up to sitting, use the strength of your arms. Help yourself up. Find a comfortable seat. Let's once more interlace our fingers. You can extend the index fingers up, extend thumbs down. Take your hands to your breastbone. Uttara Bodhi Mudra, Mudra of Enlightenment. And this action in our hands, index fingers pointing up, thumbs pointing down, this represents our spine. And it represents us as humans being the connection between physical world and spiritual. We're both. We're physical beings, we're spiritual beings. And this represents that. Let's take a big inhalation together. Complete exhalation together. And finally, we'll bring our hands to Anjali Mudra, one palm against the other and thumbs resting at your breastbone. Thank you so much for sharing your practice today. Thank you for being back with us in person, those of you who are in Reno. Thank you for joining us via Zoom, those of you who are in our virtual studio. It's been a pleasure to practice with you today. And namaste.
Thank you.